Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year to you all. I hope you had a fantastic 2023, and I hope you've had some fun and wonderful time with family and friends over the holidays. My prayer for you today is that 2024 is going to be a good year for you. I pray that it is a year that is filled with laughter, that is filled with joy and accomplishments for you and your family. For those of you that are new to me, my name is Taiwo and I am a CPA. I'm also a tax strategist that work with real estate investors, home care agencies, as well as I network individuals to help them save on taxes and grow wealth. This morning, I'll be talking about the beneficial ownership information reporting that takes effect today, January 1st of 2024. And I know that a lot of you may have seen it over the internet. You may have read about it. You may have even, researched about it. But I wanted to come on here to share the key things that you need to be aware of as it relates to this new law. For those of you that have not, that is hearing this for the first time, so effective today, January 1st, 2024, there is a new LLC requirement that takes effect from today. And this is called the beneficial ownership information reporting. The beneficial ownership information reporting is a requirement that was brought about by the Corporate Transparency Act that was enacted in 2021. And what this does is that it now compels business owners, the beneficial owners of an entity, to report their information to the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, which is FinCEN. So FinCEN is responsible for this. So now you are required to report the beneficial owners of your entity to FinCEN every year. This is not really every year, but this is something that you need to report to FinCEN each time. At the beginning, every entity must report that because this is a new law. And then at any time there are changes to the beneficial owners of an entity or a business, you also have to update that information with FinCEN. But if you recall, in the past, before now, when you set up an LLC, what happens is that you would go to the Secretary of State, you set up the LLC at the Secretary of State, and some state actually give businesses the liberty to not disclose the beneficial owners information. You could set up an LLC where you are using organizations or businesses that do set up LLCs, and you could decide to, in order to remain anonymous, you could decide that your information is not going to be on that entity's creation information registration document. And so what this new requirement does is that now we are all required to report beneficial owners of LLCs, partnerships, and certain corporations at the federal level. So if you're setting up a new business, once you're done with the state side, you also have to go to the federal FinCEN website to report your beneficial ownership information reporting, to submit that report. So this is going to be very huge because the penalty is steep. So you really have to make sure that you are in compliance. You have to make sure that you don't violate this law. I'm going to share with you a presentation. It's going to be very quick, and this is going to go through everything that you need to know as far as this law is concerned. And it is my hope that it helps you understand what you need to do, particularly for those that have set up LLCs that are not operating. If you have an LLC that you set up several years ago or recently set up and you're not operating that LLC, or you don't know what to do with that LLC, you are also required to submit this information. If you know that the LLC is never going to be operational, if you're not going to use it at all, or you've not thought of what to use it for, you can close it. If you have not thought of the business to use it for, you can go ahead to close it and open a new one when you do decide and ready to start a business. You'd have to go to your state Secretary of State website to dissolve that LLC, to close the LLC, so that you are not required to make this to meet up with this requirement. Again, I hope that it helps, it sheds some light onto it. So I'm going to go over the presentation right now, and if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to me through DMs, or feel free to send us an email or a message. I will be dropping the contact information in the comment section as well. Thank you. Okay, so this is it. This is the beneficial ownership information reporting that I talked about. The organization that is responsible for this is the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. So let's go right into the reporting requirements. So who should report? Domestic companies, foreign companies that are limited liability companies, LLCs, corporations, partnerships, as well as other entities that were created and registered with the Secretary of State under the law of the United States. The same goes to foreign entities as well. Any foreign owned US company is also required to report. We do have certain entities that do not have to report. They don't have a reporting requirement, and so this includes sole proprietorship businesses, exempt organizations, and certain large organizations as well. There is a list of the entities that do not have a reporting requirement on the FinCEN website. You can check that out under the FAQ on FinCEN website. Now, who is a beneficial owner? A beneficial owner is an individual who directly or indirectly owns or controls at least 25% of the ownership interest of a reporting entity. He or she would also have to exercise substantial control over a reporting company. So below is the list of individuals that have substantial control and the senior officers of an entity, the president, the CFO, and the CEO. Those are list of people that have substantial control that are also required um, to report as well. So, in a nutshell, at least 25% of ownership interest and individuals that have substantial control by reporting entity. The reporting requirement um, is the next slide, which talks about what you need to report depending on when your LLC was created, when your business was registered. If you have a registered business before January 2024, the reporting requirement is a lot easier because now you only have to report the information about the entity itself and then the beneficial owners. If you have an entity that was created on January 1st onward, from January 1st, 2024 ongoing, you will have to report the entity's information, the information about the beneficial owners, and the information about the company applicants. The same goes for entities that were created after that will be created from January 2021, from January 2025 onwards. So essentially, the only difference is for those that have been in existence before today, January 1st of 2024, they have a lower reporting requirement. The reporting deadline for entities that were created on prior to 2024, January 1st, 2024, you have up to 12 months to submit your report. You have up until January 1st, 2025 to submit the report. For those entities that will be created from January 1 today onward, you would have from January 1 to 2025 to January 1, 2025, you would have 90 days from the entity's approval date, calendar days. So if you created your entity today, for instance, you have 90 days from the date that the Secretary of State approves your entity to submit your report. If you have an entity that was created that will be created on January 1st of 2025, you have to submit your report within 30 calendar days of entity approval date. So essentially, if you've had your LLC before now, you don't have to go submit the report right now. You still have about 12 months window to submit your report. So I know there's been a lot of talk about the deadline, and all that, but this is the deadline. So then the next thing is, what are the information to be reported? If you are reporting the beneficial owners, what you need to report is number one, the names of the beneficial owners, the date of birth, the residential address, and a unique identifying number, which is usually from the driver's license or the US passport. For the company applicants are individuals that directly files a company's documentation. We have entities that are created without the names of the beneficial owners on the registration documents because there are certain organizations that kind of do this. They help you register LLCs without by putting their own information there. Certain states require they allow individuals to create LLCs without disclosing their personal information, their names, and all of that. So if you've created your LLC with um, using a company to another company or individual to create an LLC in order to be anonymous on your registration document, you will also have to disclose the applicant's information, which is the individual or the company that registered your business. Those are the company applicants. So, what information are you required to report? You're required to report their names, the date of birth, the residential address, and the unique identifying number as well for those individuals. For the entity that you've created that you're reporting on, you have to also report the business legal name, the trade names, the address of the business, principal place of business, the jurisdiction of the formation of the business, the state, and then you also have to report the tax identification number, which is basically the EIN um, of the reporting entity. If it is a foreign entity, you have to report the TIN number, most usually the company's EIN. Then also when there's a change in the information of the beneficial owner, you have up to 30 days to update that information with FinCEN. If there's a change in ownership, if there's a change in address, if there's a change in any of those information that you previously reported to FinCEN, you have 30 days to go back to update that information on the website. Penalties for non-compliance is very huge. So civil penalties are assessed at $500 a day. Criminal penalties are assessed at 2 years of prison time and up to $10,000 in fines. So you don't want to sleep. You don't want to ignore this. This is really important. You have to comply, and that's why I said earlier that for entities that were created that are not operating, if you've created an LLC and that LLC is not functioning, you are also required to report. So you don't ignore this thing. If you know you're not going to use those LLCs anymore, you can go to the Secretary of State to dissolve it or to close those entities down. So you don't have to comply with this. Like you don't have to get yourself in this thing. Otherwise, if you have an LLC that is still operating, still active, you will be required to report as well. Now, the recent identifier, I talked about the fact that one of the information that you need to report is also the fencing is a unique identifying number. You may decide that you don't want to continuously use those numbers. You can request for a fencing identifier. A fencing identifier is not available for everyone. It's available by it is available by applying. You upon application, you would have to request for it to be given. And once you have a printed identifier, you can use that in place of the identifier from your personal information. And you could also get a identifier for your business as well. So that's what the printed identifier is. Once you have one, you can continuously use that for all of your future reporting. So this is all information I have. I don't want to make it so long. Another quick note I need to touch on is the fact that a lot of people that are working with CPAs, we've been getting questions on whether CPAs are required to be involved in this reporting. Everyone is handling it differently depending on how their insurance coverage is. Their insurance coverage has advised them. So right now, we are not sure if we're going to be involved in this right now, but definitely, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. All of the information that you need is on this website, this screen that I'm sharing now. You can go to that website and go through the FAQ questions. Definitely, very detailed explanation of what you need to know. If you have any questions or you need help with anything, please feel free to reach out to us and we will be happy to take care of that for you. Like I said, we are not sure, we've not made this decision to be involved in reporting this right now. We're still trying to kind of get guidance from our insurance company. And once we get to that point where we feel that we're comfortable getting involved, we are going to let you know. And then we'll be sharing more information about it as well. Thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful 2024 and rest of the month and week as well. Bye bye.